Good morning, afternoon, or evening, whatever it is for you. I'm Cycle, and this is Let's Play Train Simulator. We're going to go ahead and do what I kind of hinted at last episode. I thought about it, and I decided, you know what? Let's just get the unweathered train out, and let's head to Castle Rock from Monument. That's going to cover the entire length of the route. And I did do some searching around to see if I could find notes about the route. But again, it's a fictional road. Anything that is there is basically made up anyway. So I was going to give you what minimal information I can. I might even make up some on my own. We'll find out here. But I will give you the background of the route as we continue along this route, as we go along the route today, rather. And cement loaded Castle Rock. We're taking cement all the way up the route. And yeah, let's get into the scenario and take a look. And I don't think this is going to take an hour like the last one, because this is a regular driving scenario. It's not a real switching scenario, which you can take your time on. This is an actual driving scenario. So again, standard scenario. There's probably no time related on it. It's probably just a matter of get there safely. But let's take a look and see what's in there. I'll see you in the scenario. Be careful as the trip to Castle Rock is mostly downhill. Keep to the speed limit and train meets are likely. Press up 1 for more information about this scenario. Begin when the signal is clear. Well, we can still get to the exit of the yard before the signal is clear, so let's go ahead and do that. So I'm going to leave the speed right where we are right now at about 10 miles per hour. We're going to see a train coming in here. We have to obey the signal, which I'm sure you know very well. So we're going to go ahead and slow down for a moment here. The container freight is just what we're waiting for. Ignore the label above us. So we're going to let 1405 make its way in. When it is fully in, our signal will change up ahead, and we'll have a green, and we'll be able to proceed. All signals are all switches are set for us to leave otherwise. So we're just going to make sure we behave and wait for the signal. So it should change momentarily. I've taken the brake off. And we should shortly be on our way. There it is. So we're now out of the yard. We're going to go ahead and make our way onto the line. You notice the 1 there. This is the first milepost of the railroad. And you notice that we are coming to an overbridge here. I wish I could tell you what that road is, but I have no idea. We're going to get over to the right lane. Because in America and Canada, basically in North America, we drive on the right side of the road. All right, let's get up to speed. See a nice little highway over here? Some kind of a highway. There's a sign saying Rail Simulator. So there we go. We are on our way. So taking a quick look at the map here, and I'm trying not to yell over the engines here. We are leaving Monument. The next place we're going to be going to is a place called Glen Park. So we're going to be going through the Glen Park area. Right now the signal ahead of there is red. I'm not sure if that's a mistake on the map, but that's what we have. We are going to be going through the Larkspur refinery and Larkspur station at some point along the way. Those are, as you can see, further ahead. They're a little further up. 11 miles away is Larkspur. So I'm turning down the engine a little bit so I can hear myself think. I'll tell you a little bit about the railroad here. Castle Rock Railroad runs from the industrial city of Castle Rock in northern Colorado, and this is fictional, keep in mind, to Monument, approximately 25 miles to the south, which is where we're starting from. The terrain poses a challenge as it dips and climbs along the railroad, and the surrounding views vary between savanna and forest, punctuated by populated areas. Roughly midway between the two major towns is Larkspur, which is, as you saw, is coming up here. An urban area complete with passenger stop and sidings, serving the commercial interests of the town as well as housing a preserved F7 at the engine shed. So that's why we're going to get to the F7 later once we have permission to use it. Located in the foothills of the Colorado Mountains, Castle Rock was first established as a mining camp for a gold rush in the area in 1859. An influx of several thousand gold seekers arrived over the following years hoping to strike fortune. Castle Rock itself is now a moderate city at the northern point of the railroad and has transformed into a hub for industries such as a massive cement plant and metalworks, as well as the intermodal freight yard. We're going to the cement plant today, obviously. There's also a terminus station where the citizens of Castle Rock can access the Transcontinental Railroad via Monument. This connection saw the extension of many services that brought tourists and holidaymakers to the area in search of a quiet getaway. So the first place we're going to see on the road here is Glen Park South, which is not very far away now. And we're now passing milepost 3 of the railroad. It's about a 25-mile or so railroad. And like you may have seen earlier, there are no timings. There's a lot of information in this briefing. I was not expecting this much information in the briefing. I'm not used to seeing that in the briefing. So I'm going to assume this is an old way that they did things in the Railworks days. That briefing is no longer really there in a lot of scenarios. You can pause to read that if you want to. So I'm dropping the throttle back down now that we're getting up to 40. I may have to adjust the audio. I feel like I have to shout over that, and I know that I've already balanced the sound, so I'm trying not to do that. We're now at milepost number 4. And we're coming to Glen Park North 2 right now. We have passed the first Glen Park waypoint. So we left Monument a little while ago. A little discussion about Monument as we seem to be gaining speed, which I'm curious about. All of a sudden we're gaining speed again. I'll cut the throttle off for a moment. So Monument was founded as a quality resort community following the gold rush near Castle Rock. Several high-quality hotels were opened, and the town began to attract many health-savvy individuals seeking the high altitude and dry weather that was offered here. A few decades later, the Castle Rock Railroad was formed, creating a fast and affordable line up from the Santa Fe Transcontinental Railroad that passed to the south of the region. Current industry in Monument is dominated by the greenery and glassworks, although the small yard often serves to sort through freight from Castle Rock as well. This route This route is based on, again, the Colorado Springs to Denver area. And it's basically, that's what the geography is taken from, those areas. And it's set in the 2009 area. Again, 2009 is around when this game was first being developed and first released. So it kind of makes sense that 2009 is the period taken for this. It is present day back when the game came out. And that F7 engine I was talking about, we'll get to see that later. We're on a little bit of a downhill right now, so I'm going to apply a minimal brake application to counteract the downhill. A 0.8% downhill. You notice that we're back in North America, so the downhill, the gradients are percentages, not ratios, but percentages. You remember at Cahoon Pass, we have a 3% downhill even, or uphill if you're going the other way, coming from San Bernardino. An upcoming speed limit is going to be 50 miles per hour. We may or may not, I'm going to have to slow down again before that point, but it is an upcoming speed limit. Yeah, for now I'm going to have to hit the brakes again. Let's see if that'll manage it. We're on a 1.5% gradient now. This is the gradient you see on Sherman Hill. So gaining speed is happening quite a bit now. I really have to apply those brakes to maintain. Oh, look at that. 1426 tanker freight. And milepost number 6. So we're going to see the main bulk of the railroad here today because we're going to Castle Rock, which is the north end of the route. And that means we're going to see pretty much most of the route. There's our speed change to 50 miles per hour. And now we can let the train just gain speed on its own. I'm not even going to apply the throttle. I'm just going to let the train gain speed on its own. That seems to be the optimal way to do this. Now, as you can see, I'm already almost at 50 miles per hour. So I am going to have to apply the brakes again here because I am starting to get a little fast. And the downhill is continuing for a while, but it's now a 1.1 gradient, so I've gone ahead and released the brakes to see what our speed gain is in this area. We're now about 6 miles from Larkspur. Next signal is coming up. We did notice there was a green signal at the last signal. We have been green all the way, and I suspect we will be, but we are going to keep an eye out in case there are any adverse signals. This is, after all, marketed as a 35-minute scenario, and we're literally about, I don't know, 10 minutes into it. I've gone ahead and applied another brake application because we are still gaining speed. The gradient is now increased to a 1.2% gradient. I'm going to hit the brakes again as we come around the curve. I know the curve can handle 50, but because we are on a downhill, I don't want to speed over the curve. And being back down at 45, I will release the brakes again. Now, I am using the regular train brake. On newer models of the ST40, that probably is not a good idea because you're going to be letting air out of the pipes constantly. Whereas here, we're able to just go ahead and use it whenever we want to. So I'm just going to go ahead and use the train brake for that reason. In later models, we may not be able to do that. Or we'll have to keep the train brake partially on while we're powering through it. That is another possibility. Because I know on the ES44AC, that's exactly how it works. This brake... This implementation of the brake is extremely powerful compared to the brake on the later models. It takes a longer time to slow down with a smaller brake application on the later model. We're back to a 1.1% gradient. I'm whistling for the railroad crossings, obviously, that we're passing here. Our gradient is smoothing out to a 0.7% gradient. It may start to increase again. I'm going to put on a brake application for right now to get ourselves down to 45. And as I do that, a quick peek at the map to see where we are. We are down about a third of the way through the route right now. We're in that little blue area right now. Yep, at about 10, milepost number 10, that's a little over a third of the way because it is again a 25-mile railroad. Might be a 26-mile marker somewhere, but 25 miles is about the length of the route. We do have a 40 coming up, so the next time I put on a brake application, I am going to lower the brakes down to 40, or lower the speed down to 40. So we're getting up to 50 right now, and I'm going to just let it touch above 50 for a moment, and now we're going to go ahead and lower it. We're on a 1.2% gradient. I'll release for a moment because I think we can go ahead and go slightly more at the higher speed. Okay, now I'm going to lower the speed. And this time I am going to keep the brake on until we get down to 40. There is our warning sign indicating the speed limit change coming up. 45 for passenger, 40 for freight. Notice some, what looks like some missing textures on the track there. I'm not sure if that's just a missing texture or if that is how the track is supposed to look. And I actually didn't need to slow down that much. So I'm going to take the brakes off for a moment. We're going to continue to maintain speed for a while. Increase a little bit. I did let the brakes off a little early, so we're going to take advantage of the 50 limit while we can. Now we're going to go ahead and try to slow down. You saw the train wiggle for a second. That happens whenever the game is loading graphics. I don't understand why it works like that, but it is an old game, so you can expect that in an old game. It'd be nice if a new core came out to address the loading issue so that trains continue to operate smoothly. I have heard of trains doing weird things like derailing themselves during a load. And I think I was a victim of one of those when a train jumped the track in London to Brighton. An AI train. So we're down to a 1.0% gradient right now. As you see, I'm now dipping below 40 so I can make sure we can maintain speed in this area. Milepost number 12, we're now about a mile from the Larkspur South Junction. As you can see on our task list, the Larkspur North is not far after that, and then we go to Castle Rock after that. I will be feathering the brake from as long as we're on this downhill. We are coming upon the Larkspur South Junction after the next signal. Now, I'm not going to try to give you information in terms of trying to learn the route. There is a workshop version of the route that is similar to this. Again, if I can, I will try to get some of these scenarios up on the workshop for you, at least the more interesting ones. I may or may not be able to do that. I have to learn how to do that again. But if I am able to put this scenario in the workshop, I will include it in the description of the video. So check there to see if this route is available for you to drive yourself on the workshop version of the route. It will not be for this version. I will have to test on the workshop version myself as well before I do that. So we're coming up to, let's see what this siding is, because I actually don't know. So we're coming up right now on the siding here, which is marked as Larkspur Frozen Entrees. Larkspur Frozen Entrees. There you go. You saw how my train zoomed by at the zoom that I was at there. Which train is this? We have a container freight coming along. By the way, the other track that was to our side, there's no name on that track. We're just on the spurs here. And as you can see, we're going along in opposite directions here. We are now going to pass some sidings here. The Larkspur wood... I can't read that sideways. Our gradient has gone to a 0.4, by the way, so I'm going to start to speed up again. But only on a level 1 throttle application. And I'll go ahead and I'll get myself centered on me on the map again. And as you can see, there are some spurs coming up over here. These are the Larkspur refinery. And zooming back out, you can see that we have just a regular railroad track from here. There's not really anything else to mention until we get to Castle Rock. You notice we have a speed limit change. We're going to be going to 55 after this sign. So I'm going to go ahead and up the throttle. You're going to hear the engines roar for a moment. I have a feeling I'm going to be able to increase while I'm in this middle range here. We're passing over some kind of a roadway here. Looks like a highway, an interstate type highway. And that's probably some of the refinery plant, the oil plant buildings next to us here. And we have a crossing coming up, so let's just warn people. We are maintaining a 0.4% gradient, so because of that, I'm not going to allow myself to go all the way up to speed. I'm going to give myself a little bit of a leeway. Nice little detail on the area over here. Let's take a quick look. Very nice detail with the hill that we're going across here. And I've gone ahead and I've eased the throttle down. I'm going to actually zero the throttle right now, just to see what it does to our speed. We are losing speed slightly on this downhill, so I'm going to go ahead and put a small throttle application back on. And I'm okay here. We don't need to get all the way up to 55. We can just go along at whatever speed we can safely. Because if we try to ride 55, there's a chance we'll speed, and if we go too fast for the track, we could derail. So I'm going to go ahead and just stay under the speed limit. So at this point, all we need to do is enjoy the scenery. Our gradient is increased to a 0.8. I am now taking the throttle off. Take a moment to enjoy the scenery here. It kind of does have that mountainous feel to it, doesn't it? The trees on the side of a mountain. It really does. And on the other side, the valley. Back inside. We do need to make a brake application, so let's go ahead and do that. And now you see the reason I did not want to increase the speed limit. We've been going downhill ever since we left Monument, so I figured we were going to have another downhill stint, and I was right. This is my first blind run of the railroad, so I just made that assumption based on what we had seen so far. Of course, we could have an uphill coming up, and I don't know about that. But on the runs back to Monument, we know we're going to have uphill most of the way, and I know we're going to have that engine purring. So I might have to adjust that engine noise to lower it a little bit so it's not so loud in my own ears. We'll see. So we have an interesting little fenced area here. Almost like a secure area here. We're now at a 0.9 gradient. We still have a green signal. I'm trying to get that brake to settle on 2%. There it is. And we're actually losing speed fast now. I don't know why we're losing speed so fast. But we are gaining now. Yeah, 2% brake is slowing us down quite a bit, so I'm going to let our speed get back up. I'm not sure how accurate that gradient profile is, because we were losing less speed on a 0.4 than we are on a 0.9, so that gradient profile might be a little incorrect. Milepost 17, so we are about 2/3 of the way through the railroad. We are about 5 miles from Castle Rock Junction 2. As we get closer, I'm going to start to slow down, and I'm going to pay attention to the switches up ahead to see that we're on the right path. We're crossing over another, well, nothing there. You can see a road going alongside us. But we're on a bridge of some sort, so we're crossing a valley. You can also see on the left of the window that I'm looking out of here, you can also see our throttle there. So you can actually see the throttle. If I were to hide the HUD, you can actually see the throttle there. You just monitor the throttle there, but you have to pay in mind the speed limits yourself. You can't, you're going to have to watch for the signs for the speed limits and then just know that you're speeding or not. I always keep the HUD up for convenience, but some people prefer the realism of using the actual throttle in the cab and actually watching for the speed signs. The HUD just gives that information in advance. Milepost 18. And I need to hit the brakes now because we're at 55. You can see it on the left side as well on the throttle, on the speed there, that we are right at 55. And now we're dropping off nicely. We're going to get down to 50. I'm going to let it go again. We're actually crossing the road this time. Is that a train coming? That is a train coming. A mixed freight traffic. I don't think this street crossing is working properly. Yeah, that's not realistic. That one's not working properly. Oh boy. That one was not designed correctly. Oh, yep, looks clear. Boom. Blind drivers. I slowed down more than I needed to because I was looking back at that bug crossing there. That's actually kind of funny to see that. So there's a 50 speed limit coming up. I'm just going to go ahead and leave the speed at 50 now. There's no reason to really speed up here. As we pass milepost 20, we're about 2.5 miles from Castle Rock Junction 2. And let's take a quick look at the map so you can see exactly where we are. There we are. We're near the end of the route. Our blue path is getting right up there. And that's where the end of the route is. So I'm going to go 1 more mile. Then we're going to go ahead and slow down quite a bit to see if we can get to our junction. So the other lane has a yellow for some reason. We have a green. And you can see the 40 coming up there as well. So I'm going to wait till the next milepost. And then I'm going to go ahead and start a brake application, at which point I'm going to run up and check the switches in the yard. I want to make sure the switches in the yard are correct before we arrive. So we're coming up on the junction right now as well, and as you can see, there is a 15 there. We are entering the yard. So I'm going to go ahead and do a preemptive slowdown now anyway. Change my mind, the milepost sign is ahead, but I'm going to do a preemptive slowdown right now just to help get us down to speed a little bit. Let's check our final junction. That is our arrival point here at departure 3. So we're going to need to get into this lane right here. The switch is set for us. And looks like we are going into that path. So let's just concentrate on driving our train. I've gone ahead and released the brakes because I'm down to 30 miles per hour, going a little bit... that speed came off quite a bit nicer than I expected there, so... We're also on a 0.4 gradient, which might be why the speed came off very nicely there. So I'm going to put the throttle back on for a moment, because we're still coming up to a 40. There will be a 15 coming up after that. Here's the warning for the 40, as you can see right there. Now you can see the 15 on the HUD, so we're going to have to consider slowing down again. Even though the limit goes down to 40, we don't really get to stay at 40 past that sign, because there's not a lot after this. So I've gone ahead and put on a brake application. You can see Castle Rock, the city of Castle Rock right now. Very, very nice. We're just going to take a quick look over here from the from one of the rooftops. I'm not sure if you can see the train here. Maybe not. Oh, you can. You can see the train from over here. Watch the train from the roof. There you go. So there's milepost 22. See, I said 25 miles, but I don't think we get to see all 25 miles. We're just going to pull in the siding, and that's that. So seeing how long it took us to take this drive, I don't see how the F7 scenario is going to be 80 minutes unless we go back and forth. And I suspect that's what it is, a back and forth trip. I've increased the brake application as we come upon the 15. Gonna go ahead and lower it now. See, we're coming up on another roadway there. We are on a 1.0 gradient, so I'm seeing, and sure enough, I expected that would happen. So I'm going to go ahead and keep the brakes on for a moment. We do have a red over green. We passed the junction point on the scenario tasks, by the way. So now we just have to get into the departure siding, and we're done. So that green, now we didn't pass that green, so that signal, if that signal applied to us, it should have been a little further ahead. But nonetheless, we are coming off the railroad. The gradient has leveled out, so I'm going to go ahead and apply the throttle now to get ourselves up to 15. We are 1.5 miles from our ultimate stop point. And for some reason, we're still gaining speed. Part of our train must still be on the downhill. Yeah, I'm going to put on a brake application for a second. So where we are here, we are passing the Castle Rock approach, the industry approach, and this is where the station for the F7 journey is, and the track continues beyond there. There's also some sidings up here, which is where we're going to. Those are the sidings we're going to. There's additional sidings over here that you can visit as well. And we're going to see all those sidings later on, I'm sure. I'm not going to try and go through them all right now. Now, if it weren't for our speed limit being 15, we could get to our stop a lot quicker. But 15 may just be a junction limit, but I have a feeling it is also going to be our yard at this point. I have a feeling this all qualifies as yard. So our 15 probably is going to apply the rest of the way here. And as you can see, we are off the track. And our speed limit has not changed. Let's put the brakes on. We started gaining speed. We're suddenly on a 1.0 gradient, which I was not expecting. So I had to put the brakes on there, and I thankfully caught that. Gonna release it for a moment. Let's look outside. Some containers. And I have no idea what that is. That looks like a factory, some kind of very well-designed factory. It's very stylish for a factory. So I've reapplied the brake application. There's some workers' vehicles. We are within a mile of our destination, but it's a slow pace to get there, that's for sure. At 15 miles per hour, you can expect it to take 4 minutes to make this journey to our destination. And we're actually under that, 15 miles per hour. So we had lots of time to check the sidings. I didn't have to check them when I did. We had lots of time to check them. But we'll take it. Nothing to fret about here. As you see, I have to keep feathering the brakes. It's such a slow drive that I have to keep applying the brakes, but we're gaining so much speed downhill that we have no reason not to apply the brakes. We have to maintain our speed with the brakes. That's how we're driving the train right now. Now, I have not determined if using the local brake is safe for this train. It probably is not, so I'm tempted not to use that. But what I could do if I want to, I could try to apply a little bit of the dynamic brake. I'm going to click on it here. If I put a little bit of dynamic brake on, that might actually help hold the train a little bit. Let's see. 10%. That's doing nothing, so I'm going to go back to using the train brake. Yeah, I'm releasing that. It's not working. The adjustment you saw was from the train brake. I'm going to do a local brake right now as well, and you're going to see that the local brake is probably also not going to do anything. Yeah, local brake is absolutely useless. So yeah, we're limited to the train brake here. And this train brake again is super strong. So a little less than 2 minutes to get to our stop now. Castle Rock Cement Departure 3 is dead ahead. And because we're seeing the yellow mark there, it probably is the correct path. If we take the wrong siding, we are considered off path and we could get a game over. Our gradient has leveled out. We're no longer going downhill, so we're going to go ahead and just proceed into the siding. I'm going to let the train coast at this point. And let's just turn this on for a moment. You can see there's our destination ahead, and there's nothing else on the trains. They're just cars that are in the yard. You can see the buffer at the end of our track here. In fact, if I bring up the mini-map, you can see the reason it's a buffer is because all the sidings are set against us. But there is a track end up ahead as well. That is for the Castle Rock Cement Portal. We're here, and we're going to stop in here. Are we fully in? We're not fully in yet. But we can find that out by checking the back of our train and looking at the HUD. We are now fully in. We can stop anytime. We're going to go a little bit further, and then I'm going to go ahead and do it. And now that's good enough. There we are. Go ahead and I'll put it to a 50% application. That should do for this. Except I can't settle at 50. There we go. And we're done our first trip to Castle Rock, or our only trip in the scenarios to Castle Rock, if you don't count the passenger later. You have arrived at Castle Rock Departure 3 with your train. In time, the train will be moved to the correct arrival tracks within the Castle Rock Cement Plant. Well done. And that is a perfect run. Now, a perfect run is a lot easier when you only have a 25-mile drive and not a lot of tasks. Just drive along. So that should be a perfect run. The ones that give you a lot of tasks or different, or having to hit different switches and possibly making mistakes while you're accidentally speeding, those are the ones you expect to screw up on. But this was a fairly easy drive. Very enjoyable drive, checking out a route, completely fictional route, but not all the same, a new place to check out. And we're going to eventually get back to the real route of Cahoon Pass in this train, but for right now, I'm going to go ahead and end this scenario here, and I'm going to say see you next time for more Let's Play Train Simulator. Make sure you like the video, make sure you subscribe to the channel, and I hope that you have a wonderful, I'm Cyclone, and I hope you have a wonderful day, evening, or night, whatever it is for you, wherever you are in the world. See you next time. Bye-bye.